I remember sitting in my car after Sunday service a few years ago, feeling completely exhausted. I was doing all the right Christian things, but honestly, I felt further from God than ever. I felt like I was running a spiritual marathon in the wrong direction. But then I realized something that completely shifted my faith. I was actively doing things God never actually asked me to do. In fact, there are 8 things most Christians do every single day thinking they are being faithful that are actually quietly blocking God's voice. And I need you to hear this. Number 6 on this list is something almost every church praises, but it is completely draining your soul. I'll show you exactly what it is. If you've been feeling spiritually stuck, or like your prayers are hitting a brass ceiling, I want you to know you aren't alone. The problem usually isn't that we aren't trying hard enough. The problem is what I call the devotion decoy. A devotion decoy is a habit or mindset that looks incredibly holy on the outside, but on the inside, it actually replaces true intimacy with God. We substitute hard work for surrender and anxiety for prayer. So let's break down these 8 things God actually doesn't want you to do, so you can finally step into the peace He promised. Alright, number 1. And honestly, this is the one I used to be the most guilty of, worrying disguised as a spiritual burden. Have you ever spent an hour pacing your room, stressed out of your mind about a situation, and you called it praying for a burden? I know I have. But God doesn't want you carrying that weight. As it says in 1 Peter 5-7, cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. God isn't asking you to manage the universe. He's asking you to hand it over. Okay, number 2, and this one surprised me when I first realized I was doing it. Cleaning yourself up before you pray. How many times have you avoided talking to God because you felt angry, depressed, or just messed up? You thought, I need to get my attitude right before I approach Him. My friend, God doesn't want your PR version. He wants your real version. Read the Psalms. David was angry, heartbroken, and confused, and God loved his honesty. Don't let your mess keep you from the only one who can clean it up. Now here's the third thing. This is the one that burns most dedicated believers out. Trying to earn His love through exhaustion. Somewhere along the line, we started believing that God is most pleased with us when we are running on empty. We equate sleep deprivation with holiness. But God never asked you to burn out for Him. In Matthew 11:28, we read that Jesus invites the weary to find rest in Him, and that changes everything. Rest isn't a sin, it's a spiritual discipline. Moving to number 4, and please lean in for this one. Isolating yourself when you stumble. The enemy's favorite trick is to make you think your sin is uniquely terrible. So you hide. You stop going to small group. You stop worshiping. But God never wants you to run from Him when you fail. He desperately wants you to run to Him. Shame isolates, grace restores. And that brings us to number 5, comparing your spiritual season to someone else's harvest. We look at someone else's highlight reel on social media, or even just their worship posture at church, and think, why isn't God using me like that? But God doesn't want you looking sideways. He planted you in your specific soil for a reason. You can't cultivate your own relationship with God if your eyes are constantly on your neighbor's field. Okay, number 6. This is the one I promised you earlier. The one almost everybody applauds, but God isn't asking you to do. Ready? Saying yes to every single ministry opportunity without having boundaries. We've been taught that saying no is selfish. So we volunteer for 5 different committees, serve every Sunday, and our family suffers, our health suffers, and our joy evaporates. Listen to me. Jesus had boundaries. He frequently walked away from crowds that needed healing to spend time alone with the Father. If the Son of God could say no to good things to say yes to the best thing, so can you. A boundary isn't a lack of love. It's the protection of your calling. Now, number 7. This is the one that keeps people trapped for decades, holding on to guilt after you've already repented. You ask for forgiveness. God forgave you. But you keep bringing it up in prayer, beating yourself up over a mistake from 5 years ago. God does not want your self-condemnation. As it says in Romans 8:1, therefore, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. When God drops your sin into the ocean of His grace, He doesn't want you grabbing a fishing pole to pull it back up. And finally, number 8. This one shifts everything. Seeking an explanation instead of His presence. When life gets hard, our first instinct is to ask, why, God? We think if we just understood the reason behind the pain, we'd have peace. But God doesn't always owe us an explanation. What He offers us is something infinitely better, His presence in the middle of the storm. He doesn't want you exhausting your faith trying to decode the universe. He just wants you to hold His hand in the dark. So, look at your life right now. Which of these devotion decoys has been quietly stealing your peace? You don't have to fix it all tonight. Just pick the one that hit you the hardest and talk to God about it authentically. If this video brought you some clarity today, I'd love for you to subscribe and share it with a friend who might be carrying a heavy burden they don't need to carry. Leave a comment below telling me which of the 8 points resonated with you the most. I read them all, and I love seeing how God is working in your lives. Remember, He loves you exactly as you are, not as you think you should be. See you in the next one.